It's YouTube Wednesday. What I have here is some glow-in-the-dark cheapo finger extensions that do not fit my man hands very well. So what I want to do is I'm going to alter all of them and give them some color so they're not glow-in-the-dark and so that they work. I have 10 here. I did a lot of experimenting on the others in order to find out what was the best way to color this kind of plastic, because nothing really wants to stick to it. And I have a pretty good solution. So let me go ahead and get started. I'll throw some gloves on. I also have some ice water here and a heat gun right here. The heat gun is what I'm going to use to warm these up. I'm going to slide them over my finger that I've pre-dipped in ice water to get my finger good and cold. And that way I can handle a little bit more heat from the finger. So I'm just going to soften it a bit. Maybe 10, 15 seconds of heat. Not a lot. I've got it on my low setting too. Okay, that's good and warm. I can tell it's pliable. One last dip in that ice water. I'm going to slide it onto my finger. And now it slides on much further. I'm going to go all the way down to that first knuckle. I'm going to dip the whole thing in the ice water to set it. So now I have that finger extension that fits me really nice. I'm going to go ahead and do some more. I'll let my fingers cool down a bit in the ice water, and then I'll go ahead and do another set. Because pretty much my fingers are the same size, I can do all of the fingers on my left hand and then use them on my right hand. And I'm just heating it on a popsicle stick so that I don't burn my hand with the heat gun. It is nice and pliable. Putting my finger in there. I can tell it's warm as soon as I put it in there, but it's not burning me by any means. And that ice water right here, the ice water just sets it really quick. So, you know, cools it down, makes it nice. What you don't want is you don't want it so tight that it cuts off circulation. And I'm going to poke a little hole in each one of these to make sure it doesn't create such suction that it sucks all the blood down to the end of my finger. All right, so that's on, but it's not on far enough. It's really got to go down to that line right there. So I got to heat this up one more time and do it again. It'll stay soft while I put my thumb in the cold water. So that's one hand all set for sizing. These feel comfortable. I know I can leave them on for a long time, and they give my hands a nice, scary look. Now, be careful not to burn yourself. I'm taking extra precautions by putting my finger in cold water before I fit these to me. Doesn't take a lot of heat to make this malleable, so don't get it to the point where it would boil or anything like that. And as soon as it's on to where you need it, put it in the cold water. That'll help arrest that malleability. If this is too hot, it'll turn to liquid on you almost. It'll be a real gooey paste. If it's just a little bit too hot, then what's going to happen is you're going to push your finger into it and it's going to roll the edge. So it's always kind of better to test it to make sure that it's not too hot. Or at least, go early as opposed to leave it on there for too long. Moving on to phase 2 of this project is putting some color on these so that they don't look, they're not glow-in-the-darky. This plastic doesn't take paint very well, so I'm going to use a trick I kind of learned and kind of adjusted. This is the purple primer for PVC, and those are a different type of PVC rubber plastic. So I put some of that in a clear jar. And this is So Strong Tint from Smooth On or Reynolds Advanced Materials. So this So Strong Tint is really good stuff for tinting foam and things, plastics, resins, that you put the tint in before the chemical reaction, and then after the chemical reaction, it's there. I'm going to use the purple primer as a carrier for the So Strong tint. Okay, just a little bit in there. Experiment. Put a little bit on. If you don't like a little bit, do it in layers. Add a little more, you know. Maybe 2 applications of a thin amount of color will be better for you. I know I want these a little bit dark because my mask is pretty dark. So I'm just have a 1-inch chip brush here until it's not purple anymore, and that green has melded really well with this primer. Okay, so I'm going to hit everything, including the fingernail, because the fingernails have a different, you know, a little bit different color PVC on them. I'm just going to set it down. I'm not going to wipe it off right away because I want it to get pretty dark. And what it's doing, it's not painting it, it's actually going to dye this plastic. It's going to dye this rubber. Right away you can tell I'm getting a good rich green color, you know, like an emerald color almost from this dye that I'm using. It's got a bit of a scent to it. My garage door is open and a fan is on. I wouldn't recommend doing this without ventilation. This is not a project for the kitchen table, let's say. So there we go. Now I'm going to grab a couple fresh paper towels. I'm going to wipe off all these guys. And that's going to take off some of that color, but not all of it. By no means all of it. And what that does is that leaves me with a dyed piece of green, not sticky like if I tried it with spray paint. A green piece of finger extension. You know, that's kind of nice. I'll get all these wiped down and I'll get right back to you. And that is after the wipe down. You can tell that's good and dyed. You know, once I get all of it off, it's not it doesn't really come off. It's dyed into the plastic, which is nice. All right, so there they are. The next step I would do is I'll super glue the long, scary fake fingernails over top of this, and then give them a little bit of stain. The super glue will hold them on pretty well. These are ready for costume now because they're set to fit me. And with that long fingernail super glued on there, they'll look really great. Go make stuff!